Dear students, today I am going to teach you a new lesson, the Delhi Sultanate. In this lesson, a brief introduction required that Muhammad Ghori attacked on Prithviraj Chauhan, and Prithviraj Chauhan defeated Muhammad Ghori in first battle of Tarain, and after that one more battle was fought, second battle of Tarain. First one was fought in 1191 and second one 92 respectively. And in second battle of Tarain, Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated by Muhammad Ghori, and after that a new dynasty emerged, and that is known as Delhi Sultanate. And in this chapter I will discuss regarding this. By the 10th and 11th century, numerous small kingdoms had emerged in North India because of the absence of the powerful central government. These kingdoms were constantly at conflict with each other. Due to lack of political unity, India was unable to repel any attack from the invaders. It was the feudal setup that was largely responsible for the quick victories of the Turks, who began the conquest in 11th and 12th century. However, their empire was established in 13th century. The period between 1206 to 1225, 1525, two exact date I would like to explain you. The period between 1206 and 1526, when these five dynasties ruled from Delhi, is known as period of Delhi Sultanate. It was also called because of the rulers of various dynasties which ruled from the capital of Delhi were called Sultan, and means from 1206 to 1526. This time period will be known as Delhi Sultanate time period. And why I am telling 1526? Because first battle of Panipat taken place, and Ibrahim Lodi was the Sultan of Delhi, was defeated by Babur, and new dynasty came to existence, that was Mughal dynasty. So in this video, in this chapter, I would like to teach you Delhi Sultanate. Means our history will start from 1191 to 1526. So near about 300 years history will be taught by me. And first of all, I am going to explain you, teach you about the sources, because without source, history will be story. There are number of official records, administrative manuals, biographies, autobiographies, court histories, chronicles, foreign tabular accounts, and private correspondence, which provide much information for reconstructing the history of Delhi Sultanate. Among the outstanding historical work of the Sultanate period, there are many important creation. I would like to mention this: Tajul Masir by Hassan Nizami, Tarikh Firoz Shahi by Ziauddin Barni, Tarikh Mubarak Shahi by Ahya bin Ahmad Sarhindi, Tabqat Nasri by Minhaj Siraj. Amir Khusro also wrote two well-known historian work, Khazain ul Futuh and Miftah ul Futuh, Deval Rani Khijr Khan Asika. Many books he has written, Tughlaqnama. So these are literary sources. Means whatever what explanation will be done by me in this chapter, So our literary sources are above mentioned. So please pay attention. And Tughlaqnama written by Amir Khusro. Other important works included poetry of Firdausi and Sadi in Persian, and one more very important book is there, Prithviraj Raso by Chand Bardai, a great epic. Basically, in this video, I would like to explain about two important books, Tarikh-e Firoz Shahi and Prithviraj Raso. In this video, basically, I will focus on two historians. Tarikh-e Firoz Shahi is an important historical work on medieval India. It was written by Ziauddin Barni, a historical and political thinkers who lived in India during the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq and Firoz Shah. It covered the period from the reign of Balban to the first 6 years of the reign of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. In this book, Barni claimed that whatever he has written is true. Hence, his account is considered trustworthy even by modern scholars. So, dear students, how many important literary works I have to mention here? Again, going to repeat. Tarikh-e Firoz Shahi and Fatwa-e-Jahandari, two books written by Ziauddin Barni. Hasan Nizami written Tabqat-e Nasiri and Tajul Masir, and Minhaj Siraj written Tabqat-e Nasiri, and Amir Khusro written Khazain ul Futu, Miftah ul Futu, Deval Rani Khizr Khan, Tughlaqnama, and Tariq Mubarak Shahi by Ahya bin Ahmad. Okay, so these books are very reliable books, and these books giving useful information, means truthful information regarding Delhi Sultanate. So this one very important, means Ziauddin Barni. Why I have mentioned this one? Ziauddin Barni himself written that whatever I have seen, I have written, and he has also given one message that historians should write truth. Okay, because history is the memory of nation, and upcoming generation will know about the past centuries by the creation of the historians. So now next book is there, Prithviraj Raso. It is an epic poem composed by Prithviraj Chauhan, court poet Chandra Bardai. It narrates the heroic exploits of the Chauhan kings Prithviraj, who ruled Ajmer and Delhi between 1165 to 1192. It also describes the struggle between the Rajputs and Muhammad Ghori. Besides providing detail of the political, military and socio-economic structure of the Rajputs, over the year, a number of additions were made to the Prithviraj Raso by different authors. Only a small portion of the existing text is likely to have been part of the original version. Many events and battles narrated in the Prithviraj Raso do not correspond the other contemporary account. Hence, Prithviraj Raso, though not strictly historical, it is an important source of information on the social and clan structure of the Kshatri of the North India. So, how many information he has given? So, modern historians are not considering that what he has written that is truth one, but some useful information he has given by his creation, Prithviraj Raso. Next, these are literary sources, and now going to teach you archaeological sources. Archaeological sources are very useful sources. The Delhi sultans means the Sultan of Delhi did not leave behind much epigraphic evidence of historical significance. However, their coins have been proved to be useful in the fixing of the chronology of events, and and similarly the monuments of the Sultanate period provide useful insight into the cultural trends of the time. So first one, inscription. Inscriptions are valuable supplements and not to the sole source of the information on the Delhi Sultanate. The inscriptions are found on the coins, monuments, milestones, and tombstones. Some of the inscriptions are in Sanskrit, some are in Arabic, and some in the both languages. For example, the first coins issued by Muhammad Bakhtiar Khilji bears both Arabic and Sanskrit inscription. Similarly, the famous traveler of the Ibn Battuta noticed the commemorable inscription of the Jama Masjid in Delhi, which he deciphered. This inscription helped him to fix the date of Muslim conquest of Delhi. Next one, monuments. The ruler of the Delhi Sultanate built many monuments which reveal not only the cultural trends of the period but also the living condition, faith, and beliefs of the socio-cultural outlook and of the rulers. The architectural style brought in by the Turks in India had four main characteristics. This is main point. Four main characteristics. I am going to teach you what are four main characteristics that introduced by Turks in India. First one, dome. Second one, minarets, arches, and proposed roof. In the sphere of the decoration, the Turks used geometrical and floral design, combining them with panel of inscription containing verse from Holy Quran. The significant monuments built by the rulers of the Delhi Sultanate include the Qubbatul Islam Mosque and Qutub Minar in Delhi, built up by Qutubuddin Aibak, and Adhai Din Ka Jhopda at Ajmer. Sultan Gari Ka Maqbara means Sultan Gadi Ka Maqbara means tomb of Sultan Gadi. Okay, it was tomb of Nasiruddin Mahmud, the son of Iltutmish. The tomb of Iltutmish built up by Iltutmish own self, Alai Darwaja, and Siri Fort and Hauj Khas Jamaat Khana Masjid in Delhi, built up by Alauddin Khilji, and Tughlaqabad Fort in Delhi, built up by Tughlaqs. So these are archaeological sources, and very reliable sources are there. And next day I would like to teach. I will teach you next topic. Today only this much, dear. Thank you.